Maria Vance woke up at 5 in the morning like she always did. Her small room on Deck 9 was quiet and dark. She could hear the soft hum of the space station all around her. It was the only home she had known for the past 6 years. She got out of bed and looked through the tiny window. Stars filled the black sky. Somewhere out there was Earth, the planet she had left behind when she was 40 years old. Now she was 46, and she cleaned rooms for a living on Horizon's Edge, one of the biggest space stations in the galaxy. Maria made herself a cup of cheap coffee and sat down at her small table. She opened her tablet and checked the job board. Money was tight this month. Her rent was due in 3 days, and she needed at least 200 credits to pay it. She scrolled through the listings. Most of the good jobs were already taken. Then she saw one that caught her eye. A private residential unit on Deck 17 needed cleaning. The pay was 50 credits. It was not much, but it was something. Deck 17 was the military veterans' quarter. Maria had cleaned there a few times before. The people who lived there were mostly quiet. They kept to themselves. Many of them had fought in the wars that happened after humans first met alien life 30 years ago. Those were hard times. Maria remembered them well. She accepted the job and got ready. She put on her gray uniform and packed her cleaning supplies into a small cart. Then she made her way to the transport lift. The station was waking up around her. Humans and aliens walked together through the wide corridors. Maria saw with their tall bodies and silver skin. She saw traders with their 4 arms and clicking voices. She saw engineers with their large black eyes and gentle movements. 30 years ago, humans did not know any of these beings existed. Now they shared the stars together. It was strange and wonderful and sometimes very hard. The transport lift took Maria up to Deck 17. The corridors here were different from the lower decks. They were quieter and cleaner. The lights were softer. Small plaques on the walls showed the names of battles and the people who had fought in them. Maria found the unit she was looking for. The door panel said the resident was someone named N. Cole. She pressed the buzzer and waited. The door slid open after a long moment. A man stood there. He was maybe 50 years old with short gray hair and tired eyes. He wore simple clothes, a dark shirt and plain pants. He looked at Maria like he was looking through her. "You the cleaner?" he asked. His voice was flat and empty. "Yes, sir, Maria Vance. I am here for the cleaning job." He nodded and stepped aside to let her in. "Kitchen and bathroom need the most work. Do what you need to do." Then he walked away toward a back room and closed the door behind him. Maria stood alone in the entrance. She looked around slowly. The unit was not very big. It had a main living area, a small kitchen, and 2 bedrooms. The walls were gray and the furniture was simple. Everything felt cold somehow, like no one really lived here. She started her work in the kitchen. The sink was full of dishes. The counter had old food stains. The floor was dusty. It was not the worst mess she had ever seen, but it told a story. This was the kind of mess that built up when someone stopped caring about the small things. As she cleaned, Maria noticed things. She saw photographs on a shelf near the window. One showed the man Cole in a military uniform. He looked younger and stronger in the picture. He was smiling. Next to him was a woman with kind eyes and dark hair. She was beautiful. Maria looked at more photographs. She saw the woman again and again. Then she saw a little girl with dark curls and bright eyes. The girl appeared in many pictures, growing from a baby to a young child. But in the most recent photographs, the woman was gone. Only the man and the girl remained, and neither of them smiled anymore. Maria felt a heaviness in her chest. She had seen this before. She knew what loss looked like. She moved to the bathroom and cleaned it quickly. Then she went to the living area and began to dust the shelves. The whole time, the unit was silent. She could not hear Cole in the back room. She could not hear anything at all. Then she heard something. It was a soft sound, almost too quiet to notice. It came from behind a closed door near the kitchen. Maria stopped moving and listened. The sound came again. It was crying. Someone was crying behind that door. Maria put down her cloth. She stood very still. The crying continued, small and broken. It sounded like a child. She knew she should not get involved. She was here to clean, nothing more. This was not her home. This was not her family. Whatever was happening behind that door was not her business. But Maria could not move away. The crying held her in place. It was the kind of crying that came from deep inside, the kind that happened when the world felt too heavy to bear. She thought about walking away. She thought about finishing her job and leaving. She thought about the 50 credits she needed. But then she thought about her own daughter, the one she had lost to sickness 15 years ago on Earth. She thought about all the times she had cried alone and wished someone would hear her. Maria walked to the door. She raised her hand and knocked gently. There was no answer. The crying stopped for a moment, then started again. "Hello," Maria said softly. "Are you okay in there?" Still no answer. Maria looked back toward the room where Cole had gone. The door was still closed. He could not hear what was happening, or maybe he could hear it and did not know what to do. Maria made a choice. She pushed the door open slowly and looked inside. A small bedroom waited on the other side. It was simple and clean, with a narrow bed and a desk near the window. Posters of stars and planets covered the walls. Toys and books sat on shelves. On the bed sat a little girl. She was maybe 8 years old, with dark curly hair and red, swollen eyes. She was holding a stuffed animal tight against her chest. When she saw Maria, she did not scream or run away. She just looked at her with eyes full of pain. Maria felt her heart break in a way she had not felt for many years. "Hey there," she said gently, kneeling down beside the bed. "My name is Maria. What is yours?" The girl did not answer at first. She just kept crying. But then, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, she spoke. "Lily." And in that moment, everything began to change. Maria stayed very still beside the bed. She did not want to scare the little girl. Lily was holding her stuffed animal so tight that her small fingers had turned white. Tears kept falling down her cheeks. "It is okay," Maria said in a soft voice. "You do not have to talk if you do not want to. I am just going to sit here with you for a little while. Is that okay?" Lily nodded slowly. She wiped her face with the back of her hand but did not stop crying. Maria looked around the room. She saw the school tablet lying on the floor near the wall. The screen was cracked in one corner like someone had thrown it. Something was frozen on the display, words written in a strange script that Maria did not understand at first. Then she recognized it. It was writing. She also noticed something else. There was a bruise on Lily's arm just above her elbow. It was purple and fresh, maybe a day or two old. Maria felt a cold feeling in her stomach. "Lily," she said carefully, "did someone hurt you?" The girl looked down at her arm and then quickly pulled her sleeve over it. She shook her head, but Maria could see she was lying. "You can tell me," Maria said. "I am not going to get angry. I am not going to tell anyone if you do not want me to. I just want to help." Lily was quiet for a long time. The only sound was her breathing and the soft hum of the space station. Then, finally, she spoke. "They say bad things about us." Maria leaned closer. "Who says bad things?" "The kids at school, the kids." Lily's voice was small and shaky. "They say humans do not belong here. They say we are weak. They say we should go back to Earth." Maria felt something twist inside her chest. She had heard words like these before. She had heard them spoken about her own kind many times since humans first came to live among the stars. "What else do they say?" Maria asked gently. Lily's eyes filled with fresh tears. "They say my mom died because humans are stupid. They say she should not have tried to help. They say it was her own fault." Maria reached out and took Lily's hand. The girl did not pull away. "Tell me about your mom, sweetheart." Lily looked up at Maria with those big, sad eyes. Her name was. She was the best mom in the whole galaxy. She used to sing to me every night before bed. She used to tell me stories about Earth, about the oceans and the mountains and the forests. She said one day she would take me there. What happened to her? Maria asked. Lily took a deep breath. It seemed to take all her strength just to speak. She was a rescue worker. She helped people when bad things happened. 2 years ago, there was a big war on a planet far away. Families were trapped there, kids just like me. Mom went to help them. Maria listened without saying a word. She saved a lot of people, Lily continued. 43 kids. She carried them out of the fire herself. But then there was an explosion. Mom did not come home. Lily started crying harder now. Maria moved closer and put her arms around the small girl. She held her tight and let her cry. Your mom was a hero, Maria whispered. She was brave and kind and she loved you very much. But the kids do not care, Lily sobbed. They do not remember what she did. They just say we are weak. They push me in the hallway. They send me mean messages on my tablet. They tell me to go away. Maria looked at the cracked tablet on the floor. Now she understood. Those words on the screen were hateful messages. This little girl was being bullied because of who she was. Does your father know about this? Maria asked. Lily shook her head. I do not want to tell him. He is already so sad. I do not want to make him more sad. Maria felt her heart ache. This child was only 8 years old, and she was carrying so much pain all by herself. She was trying to protect her father even while she was hurting. Lily, your father needs to know. He loves you. He would want to help. He cannot help, Lily said quietly. Nobody can help. They are important here. Humans are just guests. That is what everyone says. Maria thought about those words. Guests. She had heard that word used many times. It was a polite way of saying that humans did not really belong, that they were only allowed to stay because the aliens were being kind. But Maria knew the truth. Humans had earned their place among the stars. They had worked hard. They had fought hard. They had sacrificed more than most aliens would ever understand. Cole had proved that. She had given her life to save children, and now those same were teaching their kids to hate her daughter. Maria stood up slowly. She looked down at Lily with gentle but determined eyes. Wait here, sweetheart. I need to talk to your father. Lily grabbed her hand. Please do not tell him. He will be upset. Maria knelt down again. Sometimes being upset is the first step to making things better. Your father is strong, and you are strong too. You do not have to carry this alone. She squeezed Lily's hand once more, then walked out of the room. Cole was still in the back bedroom. Maria knocked on his door and waited. After a moment, he opened it. His eyes were red like he had been crying too. Behind him, Maria could see a holographic image floating in the air. It showed a woman with kind eyes and dark hair. What do you want? Asked. His voice was rough. I need to talk to you about your daughter. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear maybe, or guilt. What about her? She is being hurt, Mr. Cole, at school, by the children. They are bullying her because she is human. They are saying terrible things about her mother. His face went pale. He stepped out of the room and closed the door behind him. I know. Maria stared at him. You know. I filed complaints, he said quietly. 3 times. The station council does nothing. They say there is no proof. They say it is just children being children. They say we are guests here and we need to be patient. Maria felt anger rise inside her. Your daughter is 8 years old. She has a bruise on her arm. She is crying alone in her room while you sit in the dark. This is not okay. Looked at her with empty eyes. What do you want me to do? Start a fight? Make things worse? I am one man. I cannot change how they see us. Maria stepped closer. Your wife saved 43 children. She gave her life for them. Does that mean nothing? It means nothing to them, said bitterly. They already forgot. Maria shook her head slowly. Then maybe it is time to remind them. Stared at her for a long moment. Something changed in his eyes, a small light that had not been there before. "Who are you?" he asked. Maria smiled sadly. "I am just a cleaning woman, but I am also a human, and I am tired of being called a guest in a galaxy we helped build." She turned and walked back toward Lily's room. Behind her she heard follow. It was time to stop hiding. It was time to fight back. Maria did not go home that night. She stayed with the Cole family until the stars outside the window shifted from one side to the other. She made dinner for Lily and she cleaned the kitchen properly. She sat with them at the table and listened to their story. Told her everything. He told her about how he met 20 years ago on Earth. He told her about their wedding on a beach in California with the sun setting over the ocean. He told her about the day Lily was born and how cried with happiness when she held her daughter for the first time. He told her about his work as a rescue specialist. She had trained for years to help people in dangerous situations. She went wherever there was trouble, earthquakes, fires, space accidents. She never turned away from anyone who needed help, no matter what species they were. She believed in something bigger than herself, said quietly. She believed that humans had a purpose among the stars. She said we were not just visitors. We were supposed to be here. We were supposed to help. Maria listened without speaking. She could see the love in his eyes when he talked about his wife. She could also see the pain. When the Civil War started, continued, could not stay away. The news showed images of refugees trapped on a border planet, children and families with nowhere to go. The fighting was getting closer every day. No one was going to save them. But went, Maria said. Nodded. The government did not ask for human help. They were too proud. They thought they could handle it themselves, but did not care about politics. She only cared about the children. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars burned in the endless black. She took a small rescue ship with a crew of 12 humans. They flew into the war zone without permission. They landed near a village that was about to be destroyed, went from house to house, carrying children in her arms. She put them on the ship one by one. 43 children, Maria said softly. 43 children, repeated. She saved every single one of them. But while she was going back for the last group, a bomb hit the village, was caught in the blast. Lily had been listening from the doorway. She came into the room and climbed into her father's arms, held her tight. The government thanked us publicly, said. They gave a medal after she died. They said she was a hero, but that was 2 years ago. Now everyone has forgotten. The children she saved grew up and moved on with their lives. The on this station do not remember what she did. They only see us as weak creatures who do not belong. Maria felt a fire burning inside her. It was not anger exactly. It was something older and deeper. It was the feeling she got when she saw something unfair and could not look away. They teach their children to hate us, Maria said. They tell them we are less than them. And when their children hurt Lily, the station council does nothing. Put Lily down gently. I have tried everything. I talked to the teachers. I talked to the council members. I even tried to meet with parents. They do not want to hear it. To them, we are just guests who should be grateful we are allowed to stay. Maria shook her head. We are not guests. Humans have lived on this station for 30 years. We helped build it. We work in the docks and the hospitals and the schools. We fight alongside in times of war. We give our lives to save their children. We are not guests. Then what are we? Asked. Maria looked at him with steady eyes. We are family, and it is time they understood that. Stared at her. What are you saying? Maria sat down at the table. Her mind was working fast. She was not a soldier-like. She was not a rescue worker-like. She was a cleaning woman who made 50 credits a job, but she knew something that most people forgot. Change did not always come from the powerful. Sometimes it came from the small people, the ones who were invisible, the the ones who cleaned the floors and washed the dishes and kept the world running while everyone else looked away. I know people on this station, Maria said. Humans who work in every corner, dock workers, engineers, nurses, teachers. They are tired too. They are tired of being treated like we do not matter. If we bring them together, if we show them what happened to Lily, and maybe we can make something happen. Looked doubtful. What can a group of workers do against the station council? Maria smiled. We are not going to fight the council. We are going to do something they cannot ignore. We are going to remember. She explained her idea. It was simple, but it was powerful. They would organize a memorial for and all the humans who had given their lives to help alien species. They would hold it in the central plaza of the station, where everyone could see. They would tell story and the stories of others like her. They might not care about human lives, but they could not ignore their own history. If they saw that humans had saved their children, their families, their worlds, maybe they would start to understand. It will not change everything, Maria admitted, but it will be a start, and Lily will see that she is not alone. She will see that her mother's sacrifice meant something. Was quiet for a long time. Lily looked up at him with hope in her eyes. Dad, she said softly, I want people to remember Mom. Closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet with tears, but there was also something else in them now, something that had been missing for a long time. Strength. Okay, he said, let us do it. Maria reached across the table and took his hand. Then she took Lily's hand too. The three of them sat there together, connected by something more than words. Outside, the stars kept burning. The station kept spinning. Life went on all around them, millions of beings living their separate lives. But in that small room on Deck 17, something new had begun. A spark had been lit, and sparks, Maria knew, could become fires. She stood up and gathered her things. I have work to do. Give me a few days. I will reach out to everyone I know. We will make this happen. Nodded. Thank you, Maria. I do not know why you are helping us. We are strangers to you. Maria looked at him with warm eyes. No, we are human. That makes us family. She walked to the door and stopped. She looked back at Lily, who was watching her with something close to wonder. Everything is going to be okay, sweetheart, Maria said. I promise. Then she stepped out into the corridor and began to plan. The memorial would happen, and when it did, the whole station would learn what they had forgotten. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was unstoppable, not because of weapons or ships or technology, but because of something far more powerful. Love. Maria spent the next 7 days talking to every human she knew on Horizon's edge. She started with the cleaning crews, men and women who worked the same long hours she did. She told them about Lily. She told them about the bruises and the cruel words and the silence from the station council. They listened, and then they started talking too. One cleaner named George had a son who was being pushed around at school. Another woman named Diana had been passed over for a promotion 3 times because the managers said humans were not reliable enough. A young man named had lost his brother in a mining accident, and the station had refused to pay his family anything because humans were considered temporary workers. Every human Maria talked to had a story. They had all been quiet about it. They had all been told to be patient, to be grateful, to remember that they were guests. Maria reached out beyond the cleaning crews. She found dock workers who loaded cargo ships in the cold bays of the outer ring. She found nurses who worked double shifts in the medical centers. She found engineers who kept the station running even though their names never appeared on any reports. She found teachers who taught human children in small classrooms while schools got all the funding. She found veterans too, men and women like who had fought in wars and lost friends and family. They had given everything for peace between species. Now they lived quietly on Deck 17, forgotten by the world they had helped protect. Word spread fast. By the fifth day, more than 300 humans had agreed to join the memorial. By the seventh day, the number had grown to over 1,000. Maria called a meeting in an old storage bay on Deck 4. It was the only space big enough to hold everyone. When she arrived, she was shocked to see how many people had come. The bay was packed with faces of every age and background. Workers in dirty uniforms stood next to veterans in old military jackets. Young mothers held bobbies in their arms. Elderly men and women sat in chairs near the back. Maria had never spoken to a crowd before. Her hands were shaking as she climbed onto a small platform at the front of the room. But when she looked out at all those human faces, she felt a calmness settle over her. These were her people. This was her family. "Thank you all for coming," she said, her voice steady now. "I know you are tired. I know you have been told to stay quiet. I know you are afraid of what might happen if you speak up. But I am here to tell you that we cannot stay quiet anymore." She told them about Lily and she told them about the bullying and the cruelty and the official complaints that went nowhere. She saw anger in the eyes of the crowd. She saw sadness. She saw recognition. "Cole saved 43 children," Maria continued. "She gave her life for them, and now her daughter is being hurt by the very people her mother died to protect. This is not just about one family. This is about all of us. This is about who we are and why we matter." A man near the front stood up. His name was Sam and he worked in the docking bays. "What do you want us to do? March on the council? Start a fight?" Maria shook her head. "No, fighting will only make things worse. They see us as emotional and wild. They think we cannot control ourselves. If we act with violence, we prove them right." "Then what?" another voice called out. Maria smiled. "We remember. We gather in the Central Plaza next week and we hold a memorial. We honor every human who has sacrificed for this station and for alien lives. We tell our stories. We show them who we really are." There was murmuring in the crowd. Some people looked hopeful, others looked doubtful. An older woman named Ruth stood up slowly. She had gray hair and kind eyes. "I was a nurse during the first contact years," she said. "I treated and alongside humans. I held dying soldiers of every species in my arms. I never thought about which ones deserved my help. They were all just people to me." She looked around at the crowd. "The aliens do not understand us. They think we are weak because we feel things deeply. They think we are foolish because we help others even when it costs us. But that is not weakness. That is our greatest strength. That is what makes us human." People began nodding. Maria felt the energy in the room shifting. Cole stepped forward. He had Lily beside him, holding his hand. The little girl looked scared but also determined. "My wife died saving children she had never met," said. "She did not ask what species they were. She did not care if they would thank her later. She just saw kids who needed help and she went to them." He looked down at Lily and then back at the crowd. "I want my daughter to grow up knowing that her mother's sacrifice mattered. I want her to walk through this station with her head held high. I want her to be proud of being human." The room was silent. Then slowly someone began to clap. Another person joined in. Then another. Soon the whole bay was filled with the sound of applause. Maria felt tears in her eyes. She had not expected this. She had thought maybe a few dozen people would show up. Instead, more than 1,000 had come. More than 1,000 humans were ready to stand together. Over the next few days, they planned the memorial. They designed simple white candles to hold during the ceremony. They collected photographs of humans who had given their lives in service to others. They wrote speeches and stories and poems. Maria worked harder than she had ever worked in her life. She barely slept. She forgot to eat, but she did not care. For the first time in years, she felt like she was doing something that mattered. The day of the memorial arrived. The central plaza of Horizon's Edge was a vast open space beneath a dome of transparent metal. You could see the stars from every angle. Thousands of beings passed through it every day. humans and aliens going about their lives. At noon, the humans began to gather. They came from every deck and every corner of the station. They came in their work clothes and their best outfits. They came carrying candles and photographs and memories. Maria stood at the front with and Lily. She looked out at the crowd and felt her heart swell. There were so many of them, far more than she had expected. And then she noticed something else. They had stopped walking. They stood at the edges of the plaza, watching. Their silver faces were unreadable, but they were paying attention. Maria took a deep breath and stepped forward to speak. "We are here today to remember," she began. "To remember the humans who gave everything for a galaxy that often forgot them. To remember Cole, who saved 43 children and never came home. To remember all those who served and sacrificed and loved." Her voice carried across the plaza. Everyone was listening now. "We are not guests here," Maria said. "We are family, and today we remember." The memorial had begun. The memorial lasted for 3 hours. One by one, humans stepped forward to tell their stories. They spoke about parents and children and friends who had given their lives for others. They spoke about acts of kindness that no one had noticed. They spoke about love that crossed the boundaries between species. Told story. His voice broke several times, but he kept going. He showed holographic images of his wife carrying children in her arms. He read the names of all 43 children she had saved. The plaza was silent as he spoke. Lily stood beside her father the whole time. She did not cry. She held her head high and listened to every word. They watched from the edges of the plaza. More and more of them gathered as the hours passed. At first they seemed curious. Then something else began to show on their silver faces, something that looked like understanding. Maria was about to close the ceremony when movement caught her eye. An old male was pushing through the crowd. He was tall and thin, with deep lines carved into his metallic skin. His eyes were dark and serious. The humans watched as he walked to the center of the plaza. He stopped in front of the platform where Maria and the Cole family stood. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the old did something no one expected. He knelt down on both knees and bowed his head. "My name is," he said. His voice was rough and his English was broken, but every word was clear. 33 years ago, I was a child on the border planet 7. My village was burning. My parents were dead. I was alone and afraid." Maria felt her heart begin to pound. "A human woman came to my village that day," continued. "She ran through the fire and smoke. She picked me up in her arms and carried me to safety. I was the 29th child she saved that day. I did not know her name until today." He looked up and Lily with tears in his dark eyes. "Her name was Cole. She gave her life for me, for all of us." Turned to face the crowd of watching from the edges of the plaza. "I forgot," he said, his voice rising. "I forgot what she did. I forgot what humans did for my people. I forgot the debt we owe them, and I am ashamed." He turned back to Lily and spoke directly to her. "Your mother saved my life, little one. I am sorry I forgot. I am sorry for what my people have done to you. You deserve better. Humanity deserves better." Lily stared at him for a long moment. Then she did something that made Maria's heart break and heal at the same time. She stepped down from the platform and walked to the old. She reached out her small hand and touched his silver face. "It is okay," she said softly. "My mom would have forgiven you. She loved everyone." Began to weep. He pulled the little girl into his arms and held her like she was his own child. And then something remarkable happened. Others began to step forward. Some of them were young, barely older than Lily. Others were old-like. They came out of the crowd one by one and joined the gathering in the center of the plaza. One of them was a young female named. She had silver skin and bright green eyes. She looked at Lily with an expression of deep shame. "I said bad things to you at school," she admitted. "I called you names, I pushed you. My parents told me humans were weak and did not belong here, but I was wrong. I am sorry." More came forward. They apologized. They asked questions about the humans they had ignored for so long. They listened to the stories with new ears. By the time the sun set behind the stars, the plaza had become something new. Humans and stood together, talking and sharing and crying. The walls that had stood between them for 30 years began to crack. Maria watched it all from the platform. She could not believe what she was seeing. She had hoped for awareness. She had hoped for a small change. She had never imagined this. Came to stand beside her. His eyes were red from crying, but he was smiling. "You did this," he said. Maria shook her head. "No, did this. She planted the seed 30 years ago. We just helped it grow." The memorial became an annual event after that. Every year, humans and aliens gathered in the central plaza to remember those who had sacrificed for others. The names of heroes from every species were read aloud. Stories were shared. Connections were made. The harassment of human children on the station dropped sharply. New policies were created to protect all species equally. The station council, which had ignored complaints for years, began to listen. Started speaking at schools, both human and. He told story to young minds who had never heard it before. He taught them that courage was not about being strong. It was about helping others even when you were afraid. Lily grew up with as a regular visitor to their home. He became like a grandfather to her, always bringing gifts and stories and wisdom. She learned to speak. She made friends from every species on the station. And Maria, she kept cleaning, but she never charged the Cole family again. She came to their home every week and helped with the chores and stayed for dinner and listened to Lily talk about her day at school. One evening, as Maria finished washing the dishes, Lily ran up and hugged her tight. "Maria, why did you help us? You did not even know us that day." Maria smiled and brushed a strand of dark curly hair from the girl's face. "Because that is what humans do, sweetheart. We see someone hurting and we cannot look away. We see someone who needs help and we reach out our hands. That is our gift. That is why we belong among the stars." Lily looked at her with eyes that reminded Maria so much of. "I want to be like you when I grow up," Lily said. "I want to help people." Maria felt tears in her eyes. "You will, sweetheart, you already do." Outside the window, the galaxy stretched out in endless light. Ships flew between distant worlds. New species were being discovered every year. The universe was bigger than anyone could imagine. And somewhere out there, other beings were learning what they had finally come to understand. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was the species that cleaned houses for 50 credits and saved children from fires. Humanity was the species that remembered when everyone else forgot. Humanity was the species that loved so deeply that nothing could stop them. That was the human gift. That was why they belonged among the stars. And that was why, no matter what challenges came next, they would always find a way forward. Together,